Hello friends, my name is Digant and I'm here to talk about the painting that I did yesterday night. So I wanted to share my thoughts and the thought process, the painting process with you. So some of my friends have asked what materials do I use. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit. So the paper that I have used in this painting is 300 Gsm Watercolor Art Book. This is from the company called Anupam. So this is an Indian brand. So this is 300 GSM. GSM means grams per square meter. So that means it weighs 300 grams per 1 square meter. So there are 12 sheets in this. This is A4 size and yeah, it costs about 325 rupees here in India. So there are about 12 sheets. That means it's quite costly. The reason that I use 300 GSM is that it takes a lot of water and it allows artists to play around with more colors, and you can actually use wet on wet very well on this paper. So there are other brands also that I use, but I just focus on the texture and the another GSM that I want to use. These are the paint brushes that I have used. This is from Bristro. So this is a set that I bought from Amazon. It works well. The hairs are really good, and these are called round brushes, and it is a little bit thicker than the usual round brushes. It helps you to use more water, and you can also just wipe off the water and put it on the watercolor. This can also be used to lift up colors very well. So that is the advantage of using such brushes. The large brush can be used for the bigger strokes and also for the initial wash that we do for the painting. That means to draw the sky or the water, larger areas. And then you can use other paint brushes to do the detailing and other parts of the painting. And this is the palette that I'm using. So this the arrangement of the palette usually is done from the light to the dark, and there is light, yellow, blue, and then red, and then some darker colors here. So you can use this in any way that you want. Usually it makes more logical to arrange the colors in light to darkest, right? It's like a piano. You can put the lower pitch in the left side and higher pitches on the other side. So it's similar idea. And then you can also mix. So in this palette you can use the second row here to mix up the colors that you wish. Say for example, I have used this to mix up yellow and the blue here to make it green and different shades of green. So that's about the palette. The colors that I'm using is the artist watercolor tubes from a company called Camel. This is almost a monopoly colors in India. It's pretty good. It's not of low quality. You also might need this masking tape. This is made up of paper, and you can in fact tear this easily like this, and it does not stick to the any surface that you do. This is used by carpenters and artists to mark some of the areas that you want to left alone, and some tissue papers just to lift off some watercolors and then to wash the paint brushes. That's about the materials that I'm using for this painting. The painting that we are going to discuss is this painting. So let us jump into discussing the process of painting. So I have made a video of this painting, and I wanted to explain how I approach the painting. So I hope you enjoy it, and if you want more updates, you can share and subscribe the channel. Yeah, so let us get into the process of painting. Before beginning to paint, it is good to clean up the palette and refill the palette. So I'm using a little bit of water and I use the tissues to lift out the paint and clean the palette. And you can see that I just masked the paper with the masking tape so that I get a nice frame when I finish it. So at this point of time, I have just tried to make sure that the entire scenery fits into the paper. So half of the sheet I am using for the lake and half of the sheet I am using for the sky and the mountain. There are two, there is a faraway mountain and then there is a small mountain, and then there are pine trees which are around these mountains. So that's the composition we have to think before painting, or else it can look a little bit awkward if you do not plan this out. So you can see that the sky color is blue, and then I'm using this same blue to mix with some of the darker colors, that is a little bit of black, and then there is Prussian blue which I have mixed to get the mountain color. So the reason that we use this same sky color on these mountains is that for example, if you see a mountain far away from your point of view, so usually it will be a dark blue or gray or something like that, because the atmosphere is our atmosphere has a lot of blues and it inherits that color. But when you go near the mountain, it is usually the trees colors and the and other colors which are in the mountain, like stones and other things. That is about why we use the sky color to mix up with the mountains. You can use this technique. The mountain which is near to you, that I have painted it a little bit of green because it's near to you, and you can see that I'm using straight strokes because maybe it's a cliff or something like that if you look from far away. And I'm also using some tissue paper to just to contain the water. So you spread the water and then you try to put the color and let the color flow. You don't have to start detailing in the beginning of the painting. And the lower part of the painting, that is the lake, I'm trying to paint the reflections of the mountain and the green mountain and the green pine trees out there. So when you see it from a distance, it is usually it gets the darkest color in the reflection because of the thick trees, and that is going to be reflected. So you just need a single wash to depict that, and then you can use it as a reference, and then you can paint more on top of it. So that's about the reflection. You can see that now I'm trying to paint pine trees. You start with the light color and then make some marks, and then you can start with the paintbrush. So one of the techniques that you can use to paint the trees is that you take a paintbrush and you kind of split it like this, and then you get few hairs here in the edges of the paintbrush, and then you can use like this on paper, and then it gives some sort of a texture and different shapes that trees usually have, the foliages and other things. That's how you paint the thick forests and the leaves and other things. So you can see that now I'm working on layer by layer. So I painted the light color first, that's the yellow and little bit of blue in the beginning, and then I moved towards dark colors, that is I used Prussian blue, which is a shade of blue which is darker. Now I have started to work on this part, which is actually catches the eye of the viewer. So this part is like a muddy water, and then there is a small little dam built with the stones, like there are stones which are holding up the water. So usually this part will be a little bit muddy water, and it will have the brown color and the yellow color, maybe because of the rotting leaves. The rocks are actually not exactly black. So rocks usually have algae on top of it, which is a little bit of green, and then it has a lot of sunlight. so there won't be much of algae, which is in this case. So maybe the algae has dried up, and it creates some sort of a white shade. So that is what is depicted there. So maybe you can see, you can pick up any rock and see that there is a white color layer, which is because of the dried algae. So that's about the approach to draw the rocks. And each rock is not floating, so it has some sort of depth into that. So that needs to be painted. So you can use the same paintbrush and to do a straight strokes, vertical strokes like this, to depict the reflection and to depict the depth of the rocks. So that gives the illusion of depth. So that's about rocks. So you can see that the reflections of the lake is inherited from the from all the subjects that we have painted as of now. That's the sky, the mountain, and the trees. So as and when you go towards the banks of the river, so it gets darker because it's far away from you, and it's not exactly green. It will have a shade of black. Whatever you paint on the trees, you can also use the same color in the reflection, and they just make a few strokes, vertical stroke. Just make few vertical strokes, which will depict the reflection. I'm trying to detail some of the areas now, and now I think I'm almost done with the painting, because you can work on your painting endlessly, but you need to stop somewhere, right? Let me know in the comments how you like the process of the painting, and if you need any more information or any questions that you have in your mind, please let me know. I'll be happy to address that as well. Thank you for watching, and have a great time painting.